Let's get right into it. Number 10. The caffeine cannonball. Imagine your adrenal glands are two small, hard-working interns, named Gary and Steve, who have been pulling an all-night shift just to get your body ready to exist in a three-dimensional plane. Around 7 a.m., they start pumping out cortisol, the get up and do something or we will die hormone, to naturally wake you up. Then, you walk into the kitchen and hit them with a 200 milligram caffeine cruise missile before your eyes are even fully open. By drinking coffee the second you wake up, you're essentially screaming at Gary and Steve to go on vacation while you hire a chaotic mercenary to run the office. Your body sees this spike in caffeine and decides it doesn't need to produce its own cortisol anymore, leading to a long-term hormonal dependency that makes your DNA repair mechanisms about as effective as a screen door on a submarine. When your cortisol levels are artificially manipulated like this, your body stays in a state of high alert stress, and when your cells are stressed, they stop focusing on the tedious checking for genetic mutations part of their job and start focusing on the survive the immediate perceived threat of a latte part. You're trading long-term cellular integrity for a 30-minute buzz that's going to leave you crashing by noon anyway. It's like trying to fix a leaky pipe by blasting it with a fire hose. Sure, the pipe is wet, but you've also demolished the kitchen and the neighbor's fence. Basically, you're telling your biological clock to go kick rocks while your telomeres slowly weep in the corner. Number 9. The snooze button betrayal. You've done it. I've done it. We've all spent 15 minutes in a half-awake purgatory because the thought of standing up feels like a personal insult from the universe. But here's the thing. When you hit snooze, you're tricking your brain into starting a brand new sleep cycle that it has absolutely zero intention of finishing. This plunges you into a state called sleep inertia, which is essentially a chemical hangover that makes your brain feel like it's been stuffed with damp wool. While you're drifting back into that shallow, useless slumber, your body is confused. It was ready to start the daily maintenance routine, the part where it cleans out metabolic waste and fixes the frayed ends of your genetic code, but instead, you hit the reset button. This back and forth toggling between awake and asleep creates a massive amount of oxidative stress. Think of your DNA as a high-speed train track. When you snooze, you're essentially throwing a wooden plank across the rails every 9 minutes. Your repair enzymes are trying to get to work, but they keep getting recalled to the station because you decided you needed 4 more minutes of pretending you don't have a job. By the time you actually stand up, your cells are so disoriented, they don't know whether to synthesize protein or just give up and become a localized tumor. It's a bold strategy for someone who eventually wants to live to 80 without turning into a puddle of biological errors. Essentially, your alarm clock is a drill sergeant, and you're responding by trying to negotiate a nap in the middle of a live fire exercise. Number 8. The scalding steam bath. There is nothing quite like a shower so hot it makes your skin look like a boiled lobster and turns your bathroom into a Victorian-era London alleyway. You think you're being productive, washing away the sins of yesterday, but you're actually committing a micro-war against your own cellular barrier. Your skin is the first line of defense for your DNA, and when you douse it in 110-degree water, you're stripping away the essential lipids and oils that keep your internal machinery from drying out and cracking. This heat triggers an inflammatory response that signals your body to send out emergency repair crews. But because the emergency is just you wanting to feel like a baked potato, these crews are wasted on your epidermis instead of fixing the deeper chromosomal damage caused by environmental toxins. High heat can actually cause physical stress to the nuclei of your skin cells, leading to a frantic scramble for thermal regulation that leaves no energy left for the subtle, quiet work of nucleotide excision repair. You're essentially putting your body through a low-grade fever every single morning because you like the aesthetic of a foggy mirror. Your cells are down there trying to proofread the blueprints for your future health, and you're busy trying to see if you can withstand the temperature of the sun's surface. Your skin isn't a cast iron skillet. You don't need to season it with extreme heat to make it work. In short, you're poaching yourself like a fancy egg and wondering why your biological clock is ticking faster. Number 7. The blue light buffet. Before you even say good morning to a fellow human, you've probably reached for your phone and blasted your retinas with the concentrated power of 1,000 blue LEDs. Your brain sees this light and immediately assumes it's high noon in the middle of July, despite the fact that it's actually 6:15 a.m. and you're currently huddled under a duvet. This sudden burst of blue light completely halts the production of melatonin, which, contrary to popular belief, isn't just for sleeping. Melatonin is a powerhouse antioxidant that plays a massive role in protecting your DNA from oxidative damage. By nuking your melatonin levels the second you wake up, you're removing the protective shield from your cells just as they're starting their busiest time of day. It's like sending a medieval knight into battle and stealing his armor right as the first arrow is fired. Your internal circadian clock, which regulates everything from metabolism to gene expression, gets slapped in the face with a digital fish, leading to a systemic desynchronization that leaves your DNA repair enzymes wandering around aimlessly like tourists without a map. You're essentially telling your body that time has no meaning and that the sun is a glass rectangle made in California. Your genes are trying to follow a precise schedule of maintenance, but you've replaced the conductor with a TikTok feed. Congratulations! Your molecular integrity is now being managed by an algorithm that thinks you want to see restoration videos of old rusty pliers. Number 6. The aggressive enamel erasure. You've been told since you were a toddler that you need to brush your teeth, so you do it right after your morning orange juice or coffee because you're a responsible adult. Unfortunately, you're also a biological wrecking ball. When you consume acidic things like coffee, fruit, or the bitter realization of your own mortality, your tooth enamel temporarily softens. If you go in there immediately with a plastic brush and some minty grit, you aren't just cleaning your teeth, you're power washing your structural integrity into the sink. But the damage goes deeper than your smile. The mouth is the gateway to your systemic health, and this localized trauma triggers a minor but persistent inflammatory response. When your body is constantly dealing with low-level inflammation caused by your overeager hygiene habits, it diverts resources away from the complex, high-energy process of DNA methylation and repair. You're forcing your immune system to look at your bleeding gums and go, "Wait, are we under attack?" While the real enemies, the free radicals and genetic glitches, are sneaking in through the back door, you're trying so hard to be clean that you're actually making it harder for your cells to keep their own house in order. It's the physiological equivalent of trying to clean a window with a brick. Sure, the dirt is gone, but now you have a much bigger problem to deal with. Your body is basically a high-maintenance sports car, and you're trying to detail the engine with a belt sander. Number 5. The sugary cereal sabotage. If your morning meal consists of anything that features a cartoon mascot or enough refined sugar to power a small village, you are essentially inviting a biological arsonist into your bloodstream. The resulting insulin spike is so massive that your body has to go into emergency mode just to keep your blood from turning into syrup. This massive influx of glucose leads to a process called glycation, where sugar molecules attach themselves to proteins and fats, creating advanced glycation end products, which is an appropriately ominous name for things that literally age your cells from the inside out. These sticky little monsters interfere with how your DNA is read and repaired, effectively gumming up the machinery that's supposed to keep you young and vibrant. Your cells are trying to conduct a delicate symphony of repair, and you've just invited a mosh pit into the concert hall. The oxidative stress caused by a high-sugar breakfast creates a flurry of free radicals that go around poking holes in your genetic code like bored teenagers with a sewing needle. You think you're getting quick energy, but you're actually just giving your DNA repair enzymes a mountain of extra work they didn't ask for. It's like trying to build a skyscraper while someone is constantly throwing glitter into the concrete mix. Eventually, the structure is going to fail, and all you'll have to show for it is a colorful, sugary mess of a genome. Number 4. The dehydration desert. You've just spent 8 hours exhaling moisture into your pillow and not drinking a single drop of water. Yet the first thing most people do is start their day with a diuretic like tea or coffee or worse. Nothing at all. Your cells are approximately 70% water, and that water isn't just sitting there for aesthetics. It's the medium in which every single chemical reaction in your body takes place, including the ones that fix your DNA. When you're dehydrated, the cytoplasm in your cells becomes thick and sluggish, like trying to run a marathon through a swimming pool filled with cold honey. This slowdown means that the enzymes responsible for patrolling your genome for errors move at a literal snail's pace. Small errors that should have been caught and fixed within seconds are left to linger, potentially becoming permanent mutations because the repair truck got stuck in a traffic jam of cellular sludge. You are essentially asking your body to perform high-level molecular engineering while depriving it of its most basic building block. It's the biological equivalent of trying to run a nuclear power plant without any coolant. Things are going to get hot, things are going to break, and eventually the whole system is going to melt down. Your DNA is screaming for a glass of water, and you're giving it a dry piece of toast and a dirty look. Basically, your body is a desert, and you're the sun, just making everything worse for the sake of a morning routine. Number 3. The to-do list terror. Before your feet even hit the floor, you're already mentally scrolling through every task, deadline, and awkward social interaction you have scheduled for the next 14 hours. This immediate jump into psychological survival mode triggers the release of catecholamine stress chemicals that tell your body to prioritize short-term survival over long-term maintenance. When your brain is convinced that your 9 a.m. meeting is the equivalent of being hunted by a saber-toothed tiger, it shuts down unnecessary functions like deep DNA repair and cellular regeneration. Why bother fixing a genetic glitch if you're about to be eaten, right? The problem is there is no tiger. There's just an Excel spreadsheet and a guy named Dave who talks too much. This chronic morning anxiety creates a toxic chemical environment that actively inhibits the production of sirtuins, the proteins often called longevity genes, that protect and repair your DNA. You're literally worrying yourself into a faster rate of aging before you've even put on socks. You think you're being productive by stressing out early, but you're actually just sabotaging your future self's ability to remain a coherent biological entity. It's like trying to fix a car's engine while the car is driving 60 miles per hour down a gravel road. It's inefficient, dangerous, and you're probably going to lose a finger. Your nervous system is basically a Victorian child having a faint, and you're the one who keeps showing it scary pictures. Number 2. The slouch of shame. Whether you're hunched over your phone in bed or slumped at the kitchen table, your morning posture is doing more than just making you look like a question mark. When you compress your torso, you're restricting your diaphragm and limiting the amount of oxygen your blood can carry to your tissues. Oxygen is the fuel for the mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell, which provide the energy required for, you guessed it, DNA repair. By cutting off the air supply, you're essentially putting your cellular repair crews on a forced furlough. Furthermore, this poor posture creates physical tension that signals the brain to release more cortisol, reinforcing that stress loop we talked about earlier. Your DNA is sitting there in the dark, gasping for air and trying to do its job with a flashlight that has dying batteries, all because you couldn't be bothered to sit up straight for 5 minutes. This lack of oxygenation leads to an increase in metabolic waste products that hang around your cells, like uninvited guests at a party, causing further damage to the very genetic structures you're trying to preserve. You're treating your spine like a wet noodle and wondering why your energy levels are in the basement. It's a bold choice to assume your body can function perfectly while folded in half like a discarded taco wrapper. Your cells are basically working in a literal sweatshop of your own making, and the air conditioning is permanently broken. Number 1. The fast-forward commute. This is the final boss of morning routine errors. You're running late, so you're rushing. You're weaving through traffic, jogging to the train, or frantically looking for your keys. This high-intensity franticness is the ultimate DNA repair killer. It combines physical exertion with high psychological stress and usually a lack of proper breathing. This specific cocktail causes your telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of your chromosomes, to shorten at an accelerated rate. Telomeres are like the plastic tips on shoelaces. Once they're gone, the whole thing starts to unravel. By starting every single day in a state of frantic, low-level panic, you are effectively telling your cells to age faster so they can keep up with your terrible time management. Research has shown that chronic rushing can lead to significant cumulative DNA damage because your body never gets the all-clear signal to start the repair cycle. You spend your entire morning in a state of biological emergency, and by the time you actually sit down to work, the window for optimal DNA maintenance has slammed shut. You've spent the most important hours of your day essentially lighting your genetic code on fire to save 4 minutes on your commute. It's a trade-off that makes zero sense, yet we do it every day, sacrificing our long-term health for the privilege of sitting in a cubicle slightly sooner. Your body is a finely tuned instrument, and you're using it to hammer nails into a board while screaming at a red light. Basically, your nervous system is throwing a tantrum in your honor, and your DNA is the one paying the bill. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.